Hello, folks. I'm Joe Duffy, CEO of Offshore Insiders.com. On this video cast, what we're going to do is kind of talk of more of an evergreen topic, and that is the single dumbest statistic I've ever heard in all of sports. And I'm not much into hyperbole. When I say it's the single dumbest, I truly mean it. Now, for those of you, by the way, who are looking more for our timely video cast, we're going to do that more in the podcast section. Go to the podcast section on the front page of offshoreinsiders.com, and we still have more timely information there. Now, the single most dumbest statistic I have ever heard, and I know that one guy who does a video, it's on, I think, the Fox Sports website, and every single week he's got like that toupee that looks like he bought it at a yard sale somewhere for $1.99. He says, and the most incredible statistic of them all is that the team that wins outright has covered 89% of the games. This is a classic example of not knowing the difference between inductive reasoning and deductive reasoning. The classic example of not knowing the difference between a leading indicator and a lag indicator. Folks, that statistic is absurd. Why? Because in order for a favorite to cover, they have to win the game outright. When an underdog wins outright, they will cover 100% of the time. It is absolutely absurd. The only way one team can win without covering is for the favorite to win and by less than the point spread. Now, as I said, this is actually an evergreen broadcast, but I'm taping this the week before Week 7 of the 2010 NFL season. Now, there's one game, as I file this report, that's actually offline. Of the remaining 13 games, 9 games have a point spread of 3 or less. So for a team to win and not cover, that means the favorite would have to win, and would also have to win by exactly 1 or 2 points. Then again, I said by 3 points or less. So if a team is a 1-point favorite, there's no way they can win without covering. If it's a pick, no way they can win without covering. If they're just a 2-point favorite, they got to win by exactly 1 point. The favorite would have to win by 1 point. So that is absurd. Hey, I've got a great statistic for you. Do you know, and believe it or not, this applies magically in baseball, football, basketball, hockey. The team that scores the most points wins outright. That's how stupid this statistic is. And for those of you who actually put any significance to that statistic, the team that wins outright covers 85% of the time, 95% of the time, all I have to say is thank you for keeping the bookmakers in business for us. For anybody who would give money to a so-called sports handicapper that would give you this amazing statistic, buyer beware. That's all I have to say. It is beyond ridiculous. Now, the truth is there an angle to exploit? Not necessarily. There's not an angle to exploit, but it is a pitfall to avoid for sure. It's a well-known fact that the public generally likes betting favorites. They're not going to bet on a team unless they think they are the more likely team to win outright. And this ridiculous, absurd statistic is only going to perpetuate that. Anyone who's been a long-time customer of mine at offshoreinsiders.com, and we go back to the score phone days where I was known as JD of the ACC, you know that more times than not, there's more value in picking underdogs than there is in favorites. And if I somehow put any validity to that asinine statistic, obviously, we would pick mostly favorites. Now, let's even take it to its logical conclusion. And that's almost an oxymoron, because when we talk about taking something to its logical conclusion, in reality, we're taking it to its illogical conclusion. Because this guy with the funny toupee, the $1.99 toupee that he bought at a garage sale, I've even heard him go so far as to say, yes, that's right. If you could hypothetically pick the outright winner in every game, you would be 76-14 this year against the spread. You know what? If you could hypothetically pick the outright winner in every game, you would be 90-0 on the money line, and in reality even better, because you would have picked a bunch of underdogs. So your return on investment, you would have probably won about $1.70 for every dollar you invested. So why would you possibly want to hit 84% when you could actually hit the equivalent of 170 or 180%? Again, folks, not necessarily an angle to exploit as most of our videos are, but absolutely, positively a trap to avoid. Again, it's pretty tough to win a game without covering unless the point spread is 30 points, 40 points, etc. All right, you want winning selections each and every single solitary day, actually 362 days a year. We take off during the baseball all-star break. It's Offshore Insiders.com. We have great information, multimedia. We have those podcasts, which are more evergreen if you happen to be watching this during the football season. We've got our weekly podcast in which we take a look at a game-by-game preview based on some key statistical numbers used by the world's best handicappers. We've got articles. We've got free databases. All that more, and of course, the best premium picks in the industry at offshoreinsiders.com.